as you know, we had to go check at the front of the church to see what it said on the sign, because I wasn't exactly sure what my title was, but I think it said Pastoral Care Ministry, right?
Correct.
So that is what I do, and it's the passion in my life is pastoral care. I didn't always do what I'm doing now. When I first came to Dublin, I was full-time, and I did pastoral care with a lot of other things as well. But now in retirement, somewhat retirement,
Quasi.
I am doing pastoral care as a sort of a monitor of the whole pastoral care team. We have an amazing pastoral care team at Dublin with about 12 people on it, men and women. And the idea is that we only meet about 3 times a year as a group, but during the rest of the year, the group goes out and each one will have 2 or 3 people to visit. And during the year, they will covenant to visit each of those people at least 3 times, sometimes more than that.
Wow.
But it's great because you know that some of the folks who are in retirement homes and don't have very many visitors, or some of the folks who are still in their own homes but they're frail and can't get out to church, they're going to have company and they're going to have a connection with Dublin, and that's really, really important. So the pastoral care involves going for visits, and people from the care team ministry usually do those. The things I do are more connected with emergencies like the hospital or something like that where the minister's called, and either Bruce or I will be called, and we go and assist in situations like that. It involves funerals too, and weddings occasionally, although I'm doing fewer of those as I'm, quote, retired.
Fair enough.
I just find that pastoral care is something that's tremendously important in the church. I'm very proud that Dublin has this group who focus on that and do such a good job of it. I don't know what else about that, except we do also have during the year special services. The longest night service at Christmas time when people are grieving and having a hard time, and 2 candlelight services during the year, and that's part of pastoral care too. Those are special.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know whether it would be a time to talk about the pastoral care I do in the community. Should I do it while I'm on that subject?
You might. Emmy, you're leading right into it. I mean.
Okay, segue right into it.
That's how I can tell I'm with a professional right now. You build your own segues into your stories.
That was accidental, Bruce. That was accidental. When I retired from Dublin in 2004, we had to go to another church for a while. That's the protocol. And because I didn't have any pastoral connections with that other church, I began to branch out into the community a bit more. And I started volunteering at the Guelph General, which was a place where I had always felt comfortable anyway and been involved in my previous church. And so every Thursday morning I go to the Guelph General and spend the morning there as a volunteer chaplain.
Okay.
And that's really gratifying because I get to help the chaplain, who at the moment isn't well, and I go to the chemo clinic and visit with the patients there. Sometimes the social workers need some help with visits, and the best part of my volunteering there is the baby blessings. I get to bless the newborns in the family birthing unit, and that is, you can't imagine a more delightful job than that. So I really, really enjoy that. So, and then also I'm sometimes called to hospice for when they need pastoral support, and I help with the leading of the hospice memorial services and the Guelph General memorial services too, a couple of times a year.
Okay.
So that's my community outreach, but most of what I do is centered at Dublin. And I'm delighted to still be able to assist with pastoral care even though I'm somewhat retired. The somewhat gets me a lot of leeway.
All right, got you. Good, good.
Right.
But no, that's very powerful to hear all the work that you do in the community, and extend it forward. Dublin is trying to just be a part of Guelph, so I think that's
we are, and this is an outreach way that we reach into the community. Yeah.
So one of the more historical questions, you touched on it briefly as you came to Dublin. You were taking on more ministerial duties and stuff like that. How did you come to Dublin originally? For a young buck like me who doesn't know any better.
Well, you're talking to an old person here who amazingly...
A wise elder.
Oh,
yes.
well, thank you. Flattery will get you everywhere.
I hope so.
I was always very involved in the church as a young person growing up, but I never really dreamed of the idea of ministry, and I was 52 years old.
Oh, wow.
52 years old when I was at Five Oaks, and I had an extraordinary experience, absolutely extraordinary, of God telling me in my heart, not in a voice, but in my heart, that I was to study for ministry now.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe that I wasn't too old to be doing such a thing, but there was no mistaking it, and I had tremendous support from my family and the church we belonged to at the time, which was Trinity here in Guelph.
Oh, nice.
And so off I went to Emmanuel College, just in fear and trembling. And there were lots of adventures during that time, but I did complete the Master of Divinity degree and was ordained in 1995.
Oh.
And there used to be a rule that said you had to go where you were sent. It was called placement, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
And you had to agree that you would go where you were sent. And that was a really worrisome thing for me because we had a farm, we had Eric's career at the university, we had family. But fortunately for me, there was a clause.
Yeah.
If you were over 50 at the time you were ordained, you were free to accept a call.
Oh!
And
Nice.
Dublin Street United Church called me. And I was just thrilled, just absolutely thrilled.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up here. And I was in full-time ministry here with several different wonderful people. Over the years, 9 years altogether, that I was in full-time ministry at Dublin. And then I retired. We went over to Three Willows for a little while, and then after a few years, we had a lovely letter from Dublin Council saying, we really want you to come back.
Oh, wow.
Which was tremendous. And we did come back, and I was planning to just sit in the pew and soak up the wonderful gifts that this church gives people. But I realized that there was a need for some more support in pastoral care. So I just volunteered to try to offer that. Next thing I knew, I was back in over my head. But I didn't mind. And it has been a huge privilege to be able to, even in retirement, still make a contribution here at Dublin and also at other places in the community. It means a great deal. I figure I got a late start so I can run overtime.
Well, perfect. We always accept unpaid overtime. No.
Well, yeah. Right.
But no, that's really powerful. And I'm glad that Dublin was such a positive part of your story too.
Oh, very much so. Dublin is a really amazing church. It's a church that reaches out to people, gathers them in, helps them share their gifts, but is also a huge blessing to them. There are so many things going on at this church. It's just alive, far beyond Sunday worship, which is of course the most important thing for us to be here for. We have something going on every hour of the day, not the night, but every hour of the day. Weekdays and weekends too. It's a happening church and an amazing church. People are enthusiastic. I think that we have a very committed congregation. People who really love to be here and really love to be part of what's going on and feeling as if it's all really worthwhile. There's a lot that happens within these walls, but there's also a lot that happens out in the community because of what happens here and the people who worship here and then go out and do things to be helpful elsewhere.
Yeah. And I guess you sort of answered that question, answered my final question in that answer about like what do you want Dublin to be known for? And you sort of
Oh,
hint that,
yeah.
you kind of want it to be, a spiritual
Very much.
place of fulfillment and like rest, to offer something back to Guelph and all the people that live here.
Absolutely, Drew. If I had to put it in one word, I think I would say, I hope that Dublin is a blessing church.
Mm.
A blessing church that blesses the people who come here and helps them to grow in their faith, but also sends them out into the community to be a blessing to the community.
Yeah.
And some of the things we do as a church, like supporting Chalmers and the university campus ministry, and I could go on, the number of things that benefit from the gifts either of their time or of their money or of their groceries
Yeah.
to the public at large.
Yeah.
So, if we could be known as a blessing church, and the Christmas dinner,
Mhm.
I mean, there's so many things that Dublin is involved with, and so many caring things happen because of Dublin people.
Mhm.
I think that would be my hope, that Dublin would continue to be a blessing for church. And we also get blessed when we have communion.
That's true.
We make
Mhm.
it a habit to have blessings for people as they come up for communion. If they want a blessing and a little prayer, they
Mhm.
can have that too. So it's another manifestation of being a blessing church.
Yeah, and having been blessed, we're probably, I think, the first time since I actually came to Dublin. It is a very powerful experience.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
And what I love too is that a lot of this happens through lay people being
Mhm.
involved, not
Yeah.
just Bruce and me or
Yeah.
people who have accreditation. We bless one another.
Yeah.
And in the communion services and in our other special services, members of the prayer ministry do the blessing. And I think it's like the priesthood of all believers. We're all supposed to be involved in
Yeah.
work. And it is a blessing to bless others, and we get so much in return.
Agreed. Well, Emmy, it was a wonderful opportunity to, interview you today, hear your knowledge, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for the honor of being interviewed.
That's too much, but happy to share the story of Dublin.
Thanks,
Have a
Drew.
great day.